Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our school committee for Wednesday, December 18th at 7 p.m. Again, I want to welcome all of the amazing, beautiful faces that I see in this room today.
Thank you.
What we do in our meeting is we start off with public participation. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the committee? If so, please come up to the table down here. Seeing none, I'd like to move on to good news.
Okay.
Superintendent?
Good evening. Our video tonight will highlight Deacon's Elementary 3rd and 4th graders performing for the seniors at the Wareham Council on Aging. We'll also see students learning how to code computers during the National Computer Science Education. We have a Chromebook pilot going on at the middle school, so you'll see some of our students using that. We'll see a hip-hop group at the high school. We'll see Wareham students who participated in the town Christmas parade. We'll see a presentation on the state of matter, and we'll see cooperative students assisting us with Happy Holiday and Thank You video. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any other pieces of good news that the committee would like to share? Yes, Mr. Sweat.
Now I'm trying to remember which day it was. Late last week, I was privileged to represent the girls' tennis team at a high school orientation where Principal Palladino and the coaches and the teachers all talked about all the great things that are happening at the high school, and lots of 8th graders came and participated. It was a great event.
Terrific, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I would like to move on to the minutes of the meeting of December 4th. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain, or opposed, abstain, aye. 3-0-1. Okay. I would like to move on to the best part of our agenda this evening, which is the performance by the step dancers of Minot Forest School.
Whoa, 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 whoa! So, yeah, we do. We have to go sit down there.
Family and friends, we like to introduce to you
We have to sit down there.
the middle school steppers. We're not going to see they're there. They have steppers come up. My name is
Where are we supposed to go?
3 times. On the count of 5, 6, 7, 8. We get diversity. Can you step it up? Show them the hurricane 3 times. On the count of 5, 6, 7, 8. Get diversity. Can you step 7, 8. Now we'd like to invite the Deacon School. We have a newer one. Here, diversity. Can you step it up? Shoulder the penguin 3 times on the count of 5, 6, 7, 8. Here, diversity. Can you step it up? Shoulder the switch 3 times on the count of 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? No? No? Follow. Okay, okay. 5, 6, 7, 8. Work very hard. This is the youngest school I've ever done. They did a great job.
That was absolutely phenomenal. So, I want to thank all the students from Minot and also from Deacon's that were here today to provide that wonderful entertainment for us and also for everyone in the audience. And also to Ms. Witherspoon, you're doing a phenomenal job, and really tonight was a true joy. And middle school. Sorry about that. Anything from the committee?
Awesome.
Awesome.
He beat me to it. It was awesome. Mr. Fonts has missed a great performance tonight. I'm sure he's going to regret it when he looks back at the tape.
Santa Claus is pleased.
Well, good.
I do have a question, Madam Chair.
Of course, yes.
We know you know how to do the hurricane. Is there next time you perform, are you going to do a tornado?
You did a tornado.
They did a tornado?
Yes. It's a tsunami, right.
Oh, it's a...
Volcano and tsunamis next.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, from all of us, we just want to wish everyone in this audience tonight and also at home a very, very happy holiday. We hope that you all have a great break coming up and you are all great to your families at home and that Santa Claus brings you everything that you're looking for. So again, happy holidays. What we're going to do is take a short break and be able to meet with some of the parents, and then we'll come back and finish up our business. So again, thank you so much.
They did a tornado? Oh.
The kids shouldn't be around for that.
Funniest moment was when she said hurricane and they said no.
Back today.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's walking a little slow.
Terrible.
You have a tree up? The tree up?
The tree's up, the lights are on, but that's it.
How many people did it take?
4 adults. And it wasn't me. I don't count me. I couldn't do it. Yeah, it's 10 foot tall.
10.
It's
I thought it was 9. Now it's 10.
huge. Huge. You're gonna tie it to the banister. Because I don't know if you've ever been in my house. Yeah, because you will see it. We tie it to the staircase. It'll crash it down. It's done that before.
Oh boy. I never actually checked these. I just assume that they're corrected.
You have to remember that now.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a long time.
You have. Yes. Yeah, I love that we're doing this. You know, I love that we do this like pretty much every meeting. You know. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Shin, you ready?
They piled out, huh?
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to our school committee. Thanks again. Thank you. Thanks. The next agenda item that we have are the financial reports. Michael, thank you very much for being here.
Good evening, school
Good evening.
committee. So we've provided 3 financial reports for you today. The first is the budget function summary for November 2013. This is the usual report that you receive. Also the revolving accounts report, which is our new monthly report of all the position with all the revolving accounts. And I've also provided a report on our student activity account, for the student activity accounts we have here at the high school, the middle school, and the cooperative school. Are there any questions?
So of the reports that Michael just went through, does the committee have a particular question on any of them? These are our standard monthly reports. Yep.
Are you talking about the activity accounts?
So for the student activity accounts, I've got Scott
Okay.
Yeah,
from
these
the
are
high
just
school
the
and
monthly reports
the
that
middle
we
school. So
received.
I don't know if you want
Also.
to. I don't know if you want to start with a function summary or the revolving account, and then I can allow Scott and Sandy to answer any questions.
Is there anything
on this
specific
one.
that you want to go over in the, let's go, if
One
there's
at a time.
something in the,
There's not. The
Summary.
function summary report is progressed along a similar trend from the previous month. Last month, I just highlighted there was a discrepancy in a salary account, teacher salary account, that was to do with the misalignment of months. So it looked like we were far behind where we were at this time last year. But you'll see now that the pay dates are better aligned. That the remaining percentages are now much closer than they were this time last
Okay.
month.
anything on the functional summary from the committee? Okay. The revolving, anything on the revolving that you want to point out?
There's been a few minor updates to this since we last presented this to you. We've replaced the full-day kindergarten revolving account has been replaced by the income-eligible preschool account, following our discussion at a previous meeting. Otherwise, there's not a great deal of change.
Okay. Questions from the committee? Jeff?
For transportation, Michael,
Yeah.
what percentage of the receipts are internal and what percentage are external ballpark? Is it like
Bah.
90-10,
Maybe, 80-20 ballpark.
80-20?
Yeah,
Okay. But that 20% is still not insignificant,
yeah.
yeah. So you think
Maybe
it's
it's
closer to
maybe less
80-20
than
than 90-10?
I don't know, probably around, it's not insignificant, but it's not a huge proportion either.
And are there any bad debts to your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Anything else on revolving?
Thanks.
Okay. Student activities?
So the student activity account, so this is the first time we presented this information to the school committee. There are student activity accounts at 3 of our schools, at the high school, the middle school, and the cooperative school. And these accounts are set up to fund, as the name suggests, student activities. And the idea is that these are largely through different fundraising activities, and it allows the students to pay for activities that are outside the normal core business of the school. But that is nevertheless an added benefit for the school. So for both the high school and the middle school, there is a list of the various accounts, because as money is raised, depending on how that money is raised, indicates how it can be spent. So, for example, if when DECA raise money, that money can only be spent on DECA activities, which is why we've broken it down by those sort of sub-accounts. And it's the same sort of position with the middle school. Obviously, the high school's got the greatest balance. Is there any questions on any specific accounts?
Mike, you had a question?
Just, I mean, later on, I'll probably have more to discuss when we get into policy review, because we had kind of a long discussion about the policy on activity accounts. I don't know if the superintendent mentioned that to you, but long story short, we're going to probably ask you to rewrite the the policy. So I'll have more later. But did you say that the principals were going to actually?
Yes, well, Scott and Sandy are both here. There's Sandy Pond from the middle school and Mr. Palladino from the high school, for any questions you have.
Sure. I don't see, for example, in the middle school, or maybe even, I didn't look in the high school so much, the for Destination Imagination, is there an account for that?
Destination Imagination doesn't have its own separate account. I'm not sure where their funding comes from. I believe the teacher who runs it in the middle school might get a stipend, and that wouldn't come out of this. That would be something separate. To my knowledge, we have not been requested to give them any money for that activity. However, if they did need supplies or something like that, I would put it under the general activities portion.
Okay. And band?
Band is not funded as a club at the middle school. It's students take band during the school day and then meet after school.
Okay.
There is a band account at the high school.
Yeah.
There is a band account. Did you?
Yeah, at the high school, but not the middle school. Okay, thank you.
No, the only thing I'd like to say is that, some of these, some of these clubs have some pretty substantial balances, and a lot of them just fund, in some cases, a co-curricular activity. And they're just getting into the funding, the expenditure side of the cycle. So, I'm sure that we'll see these deplete very quickly.
Exactly.
Yes.
Negative balances.
They're borrowing.
I could jump to my own conclusions, but why don't you tell me what the significance is of a negative balance?
Overspent.
I think so at the high school there's just 2 or 3 that currently have a negative balance. I know I can probably Scottish Best can fill you in on that. Do you want to?
So in regards to a negative balance, for instance, the art club has a negative balance. They're awaiting a grant that's already been guaranteed to offset their field trip that was taken earlier this year. So that will be eventually that will take care of that, and then some. Best Buddies has done some fundraising, so that negative will probably more than double in the positive, and they'll have close to $1,000 with their fundraising. So sometimes it takes a little to get things going. Sometimes it's grant funded. Sometimes the expenses, unfortunately, for different activities such as the garden club, when they were trying to beautify the school, it cost them a little bit more, but they've got a great fundraiser going on in the spring, so part of that will offset with the fundraising as well.
What are the checks and balances that prevents a negative balance from being significant?
Well, the checks and balances, there's a voucher system that they have to go through to receive a check, and so there's really 2 checks and balances. One is it has to be signed off by the school accountant for these activities.
Meaning Michael?
No, the local accountant at the school. We have a student activities accountant. That's
And also then it has to be signed off by the school level.
Then it goes to
sign it off, and then it also goes to the town to be signed off by the
Right.
So in theory, a negative balance cannot occur without 3 signatures.
Well, so there's
signature of the accountant at the school, the principal, and then I'm not sure if there's signatures beyond that, but there's definitely lenses beyond that review the accounts and review the requisition.
there's there can't be there could never be an overall negative balance. So essentially, we've got lots of different funds within one account. And what we have we do have a sort of general student activities account, which we are allowed to spend on any student activities. We can, so for example, for the garden club is a qualifies as a student activity, we could fund it out of the student activities general portion, but we choose to put it against the garden fund because we know they're going to be raising money to make up that difference.
But when I look at the total of 123,684.02, there's over on the left-hand side, there's a checking and savings that adds up to exactly that amount.
Yeah.
And every single dollar is accounted for by an individual activity club. So where is the general fund, so to speak?
So at the bottom, there's a miscellaneous student activities account.
Aha.
That was my question. What
Yeah.
is?
Okay,
like
so
miscellaneous accounts.
that's a catch-all. So
Yeah.
for example, if an activity ceased to exist, had a positive balance,
Exactly.
it would fold into
Correct.
miscellaneous,
Exactly, as part of the
and that would
school
allow
policy.
some deficits to be offset by prior activities that didn't use all their funds.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay,
And also we have, we generate fundraising, general school fundraising. So for example, where we use school photos to raise funds, and that money goes into the student activities account and is used for student activities.
okay. And the second question I have is, there are some sports listed here. I assume that these accounts are different than the Booster Club accounts for those sports. Is that a correct statement?
That is correct.
Why would one have both accounts?
So the Booster Club basically is still in its infancy, and not all the accounts have been zeroed out and transferred over. We're in a little bit of a transition with the Booster Club. The person that we had in charge of the Booster Club worked as a teacher assistant at the high school. So I would venture to say, once that group is stabilized, which we're hoping that's going to happen during the winter season, you'll see these will be zeroed out for the next report, whenever it may be.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So just to dive in a little bit more to the student activities, miscellaneous and miscellaneous B. Why?
So, well, I mean, I can, from our discussions with Scott, so as I say, so part of that, they are, miscellaneous is from where we have general school fundraising, like with their photographs, or when we sell Wareham High School merchandise, and that money, and there is some money comes back into the student activities account for that, and they can be used for general student activities related to the school. And there's also where there have been, as Jeff pointed out, accounts which have ceased to be, but I ended up with positive balances, and they are also folded into, and that's the miscellaneous B account.
Okay, so you're trying to separate it from just the general fundraising activities for the school, and then this catch-all for things that you're basically trying to transition.
Yes, exactly. And so that money is then available to spend on other student activities.
Are you confident that we're capturing every single fundraising activity within these line items?
We're confident because just as there are lenses that we have to go through to get a voucher and to get a check, there are lenses that people have to go through, sign-offs that have to occur for fundraising activities. They all have to be approved by, we have a dean that's in charge of all fundraising activities. And it's not just for, so that we, obviously we want to have a lens on it, but we also want to have, we don't want to have a situation where two classes are fundraising for with the same item. And we had that about 5 or 6 years ago. And that's why we started this process where we have one person who's in charge of all fundraising activities. He oversees it, he signs off on them, and then obviously the money goes into these accounts.
Okay. The one thing that you mentioned around the miscellaneous one was apparel. Again, I think it has more to do with just, I understand sometimes when there is a need for a miscellaneous account, but something like that would be great to be able to track, as a business model for the apparel.
And we have, the company that oversees it is great. They send us quarterly statements, and Michael and I happened to meet yesterday, and we went through the statements that they've given us. Unfortunately, the sales are not that great. These are you may see these at like Stop and Shop. You may see them at some of the pharmacies, and you may see them at Walmart. These are the T-shirts that say Wareham Vikings, and we get a percentage of the profit back to the school for student activities. I believe we looked at it, Michael, over a few years, and it was hovering around $800 over 3 years. So, that's $800 we wouldn't have had without that cooperation from those stores.
Being able to break that out, that miscellaneous calorie estimate, I mean, if there's a significant piece in that miscellaneous, I think that would warrant breaking it out and making it kind of its own activity. The last thing is, I know that some of these fundraisers that go on are just internal to the school, but also a lot of them are community-based also, so any way that we can kind of get these fundraisers, if they're not already there, and sorry, Jamie, but if we can get them on the calendar as a way, whether it's the Foundation for Wareham Education, I'm sure that they would be open on their website to put these there, as well as on our own website. Just another way to let the community know a way to get money funneled in there would be great and help the groups out.
The groups would appreciate the publicity, absolutely.
Yep. Okay. Anything else from the committee regarding? Yep.
Oh, I just, not to prolong the conversation about this, but Wareham High School activities have been around longer than I have, but I had the,
No.
I've had the pleasure of being the activities account for over 20 years. I started the voucher system. I started the checks and balance. Every account has a ledger account. There's a monthly report handed to the principal. There is checks and balances in terms of deposits being made. There is a monthly reconciliation that's done every single month to the penny. So there has been a really substantial checks and balance on the activities account, much more so than other accounts. And I don't think we've ever had a problem with the activities account. The only thing that I can say, though, is I know that some of these accounts go for obviously the student activities, because that's what it's called. And a lot of it goes to co-curricular and those co-curricular activities. What I am going to say is this. If an organization has got a fairly healthy balance and they're picking up money from kids to do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to be really curious if they've got a healthy balance and we're still charging our kids to do things that maybe we should be defraying through this fundraiser. So I'm going to keep an eye on these accounts. We got this report because I basically brought it up at a meeting, and I said we should be getting a periodic report on the activities. But, and I think Jeff feels the same way. We really should be making sure that whatever the activity is, that our kids should be able to participate in that activity. And if they've got a healthy balance in their account, and it is student activities, and it's derived from fundraising, then, maybe we ought to be giving our kids a break. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So sort of building on what Dr. Sylvia just mentioned, I noticed the school store is doing pretty well. And now, what does that go to fund ultimately?
So that ultimately goes to, just like Dr. Sylvia mentioned, trying to offset the costs for the students. They have 3 competitions coming up in the spring, and we hope to have as many students going to nationals as possible. And the school store, basically, that's the Gateman store right there during the summer. And what we try and do is in the spring, we offset the cost of those kids competing, traveling, and those kids work for that money. So when you are at a Gateman game and you see 4 or 5 kids wearing DECA shirts, those are those kids working that and they rotate in. There's a certain group that's in there each night, and that money goes to offset the competition.
So this is, the school store is really the concession stand at the Spillane Field?
It's the largest moneymaker is the concession stand at the Gateman.
Okay.
But what it also is before I was here, I was at the high school, there was a girls' basketball game going on, and we had 3 DECA students working at what we call the satellite store, which is just outside the auditorium. And it usually has a half garage door that's shut when there's not an activity in session. And that's a satellite store. We also have further down towards the cafeteria, we have a DECA store that's open every day after school. But make no mistake about it, the largest profit is gained through the Gateman stand.
Okay.
Can I build on that?
Please.
It's not done.
On the school store, I can build. I can give you more information on that, but.
I don't
started
mind if he
it,
gives
so-
more information.
But no, if you want, if you don't want it, that's fine.
No, that's enough.
The thing that hasn't been mentioned is the fact that is their teaching lab.
Correct.
Okay, it's a co-curricular activity, it's a Chapter 74 program, and the store is their teaching lab.
Correct.
And I know, because I had a conversation with the director just recently, and they haven't bought their inventory yet, because there's been a transition.
The inventory came in earlier this week.
Yeah, but they haven't got it all in yet.
It all came in.
Oh, it did?
So
So,
the last pieces
so
literally came in this
In
morning.
terms of inventory for the functioning store, I mean, it's just like every other operation, you're not gonna bring it down to 0. So that also provides the funds to inventory the store.
Right, and that will be adjusted
Right.
whenever the next report is requested, because, like Dr. Sylvia said, all those things, and as I just alluded to, they all came in this week. So obviously, it's a net 30 days on the payment, so that will all be deducted as well.
Okay. And I noticed under, when I saw boys hockey, I was reminded of when we had this discussion a while back, and you said that all these teams, they do their own fundraising. And now they begin with 384, and there's been no deposits. So like typically, how much do they raise in a year?
It really depends on the sport, the number of participants.
Well, specifically hockey.
How much do they raise? I'm going to have to research it. I would say roughly each team raises a minimum of a few $100s in fundraising minimum.
Okay.
The larger sports, obviously, your football is probably in the thousands, and then it's based on participation rates.
But football, is it in here?
So as I mentioned earlier, we have
Booster
I
clubs?
believe there's a football line item in here, but what we have is, as I mentioned, that transition where most of the programs are utilizing the Booster Club.
Okay.
And it's basically, there's a transition that will be going on between the athletic programs utilizing the Booster Club versus the student activities.
All right. And to Mr. McMillan, are we going to see at a later date one for the elementary schools, or?
So yeah, the elementary schools don't have, strictly speaking, student activity accounts.
They don't?
So these are only the high school, middle school, and cooperative have, like, because the student activity accounts have a specific, they have their own legal setup.
Well,
The
well,
elementary schools do have, like PTA type
right, but
accounts.
for example, I mean,
Principal
Mrs. Panarisi, I mean, they do field trips and stuff. She's on the policy review. We had this discussion. They do have a school
They
store.
have student, yeah,
They have a school store. It's like a little cart, I guess.
yeah.
So where would all the money raised from that go?
So they also, well, generally that goes into the revolving account.
Revolving account?
Yeah, so they have their gift, they have so for example, all the money related to the playground is all
Yeah.
done through the DECIS revolving account.
Do you think they should have activity accounts?
Student activity accounts. So I have spoken to the accountant about, this town accountant about opening more student activity accounts for the elementary schools. And they tend to seek to only open them when there is clear revenue coming in on a regular basis, like a regular fundraising for a particular purpose. So when it's less frequent, or when it's like a one-off for the playground, they tend to use the revolving
Yeah.
account.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else on student activities account?
I want to thank the folks for coming in and explaining it. That was
Yeah.
good.
Thank you very much for preparing this report. And anything else, Michael? No? Keep leaving. All right, next on the agenda is acceptance of gifts.
Ms. DeGrace, third grade teacher at the John W. Deacon School, was awarded $400 from the J.C. Penney's Adopt a School program. I'm requesting the Wareham School Committee to accept this donation.
Great. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Discussion?
Second for discussion?
Second, yeah, sure. Was that in our packet?
It came in late.
Okay. No, I was just very surprised to hear about it. I'm very happy about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I approve.
Okay. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400.
Mr. Bart Nikowski donated school supplies, notebooks, pencils, crayons to the children of the John W. Deacon School. I'm requesting the school committee accept this donation.
Terrific. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400. I want to thank Mr. Bartnowski, as well as J.C. Penney for their kind contributions to our district. So thank you very much. Superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you very much.
We have one more gift. The one that's in the packet. Grant, the middle school.
Yeah, that's the one I was waiting.
Oh, thank you. The Wareham School has been awarded an educational grant in the amount of $500 from the ExxonMobil Alliance Energy, LLC. This application for the award was submitted by the New England Farms of 2505 Cranberry Highway, and we would like the school committee to vote to accept this award.
Wonderful. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400. Thank you, Exxon, as well as New England Forms for submitting that grant application for us.
Okay.
Okay, now we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you very much. We've been working on the FY15 budget. In January, we will begin our budget presentation, giving you the overview of where we anticipate our revenue, our expenditures to come in. And we invite the public to please come and ask questions and hear about how we're going to be moving forward in FY15. The transportation update in your packet, you received head counts. We ran another listing. As you'll see, all buses are hovering around the same spot as they were the last time. We do not have any buses over 52 students per count, and we will continue to monitor throughout the school year. Our buses have been undergoing inspection, and the last inspection, they received the very best that they ever have. We passed by an 80%. So thank you to the Transportation Department and Mr. Tatro for an outstanding job. And that completes my report.
Great. Questions from the committee regarding the update on the FY15 budget projections or the transportation report that was provided to us? Yes.
Just FYI, I learned that we can expect the first Chapter 70 numbers, the ones from the governor, to show up on January 22nd.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Just FYI as well, I was comparing the new numbers to the last numbers that we got, and we're doing an average of 43 less students, and looking, that's overall, and looking on the AM only, because we know the PM can be all over the map, but on the AM only, it was pretty interesting. The Mondays there was just 2 less students, but on Tuesdays there was less 45 students. On Thursday there was less 72 students, and on Friday less 56 students. And interestingly, on Friday on the PM we gained 18 students somehow. So just FYI.
Do we have a current total for McKinney-Vento?
No, but we'll get that for you for the next meeting.
Because I noticed it's still on the radar of legislators that they want it fully funded, and of course Wareham is disproportionately benefiting from it. So I'm hoping that we get a nice check out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I did want to ask, I wasn't sure if Mr. Tatro was going to be here. I wanted to know whatever became of the 4 buses that we aren't using anymore for the middle school and high school runs.
Do you have an answer to that?
I don't, but I will find out and
All
get
right,
that.
thank you.
All right, moving on to school committee reports. Okay, you're going to be doing the policy review?
Yeah, can we do it from right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No. Go.
No.
We set a precedence last time.
All right. We met, the policy review met December 13th. You should have the 3 policies, well, the policies that we reviewed in your packet. I think I'll start with the facilities stewardship.
Okay.
I don't have the original in front of me, but we changed it to be the superintendent or designee. I believe it used to say in excess of 20.
I think it said the Director of Operations
Director
and
of
Finance.
Operations. And we were going to change that, I think, to the business manager, and then we decided instead just do superintendent or designee.
Okay. Does the committee have any questions or comments regarding that one change to facility stewardship? If not, I'll take a motion to approve.
I move we approve the facilities stewardship as presented by the Policy Review Committee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400.
Okay. The Advanced Studies Program. We actually had some discussion on this, but ultimately decided to leave the policy as is. One of the questions was, had funds ever actually been expended by the budget? I mean, have we ever actually spent money to do this? And no one knew.
I don't think anybody at this table knows either.
Yeah. Let's see. And also, there was a question regarding equity, meaning, you know, where these are going to advanced kids. If public fund, let's see. That the funds were only going to be used for advanced students, and it was, you know, we had that discussion, and on balance, I mean, this students of all abilities get something from this district, so this is it was decided to keep it as is.
Okay. Any questions regarding the Advanced Studies Program? If not, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400.
Student activities account policy.
What?
There's a, oh, it's not on there? No, well, all right, well,
I think it's facilities use.
oh. All right, we had a long discussion on the student activities, and, well, yeah, we ultimately did want Michael to redo it, but we had, I guess I won't get into the discussion because it will be moved at this point. So I guess I'll go with facilities stewardship.
Facilities use?
I'm sorry,
What am I
facilities
missing?
use.
No, facilities use, so,
Facilities
Governing use of
use.
facilities.
yep.
All right.
So from what you're saying, Mike, is that one of the policies that the committee reviewed was the student activities.
It was, yes.
Policy, but it's not ready to come to this committee
It's not,
yet. Okay,
no.
so, and I think that you mentioned it a little bit.
We
you
did,
know,
we did,
okay,
and
that's fine.
yeah, it's got to be rewritten, pretty
Okay,
much.
so we'll have a discussion once it's, if it has to be rewritten, is the plan to have, the superintendent and Michael and anyone else that they see fit to look at it, come up with a recommendation for it, because remember, rewriting policy really should come back to this committee first, so then they would do that work, come to us, we would take a look at it, and then it could go to the policy review.
I'd defer to you or the superintendent on that.
Yep.
Yep.
And if they want any input during their process, then I think that it's fine going to,
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
So are you saying it's going to be a relatively new policy?
It's,
Is it going to be radically changed?
yeah, I expect it to be.
Then I'd definitely like to see it.
Yep, okay, so let's
'Cause
go
I'll probably-
that route, okay, and then it'll come to us first before it goes
Yeah.
to the,
Just, Jeff, are you all right with that?
No.
Okay.
I'm trying to understand the nuance between a major rewrite and a new policy. I agree that a new policy has to go the way you're talking about. But if a policy already exists, and whether we change one word or 100 words, it's still an amendment to an existing policy.
right. Where I'm coming from is that the way that it's being explained right now, as major rewrite, blown up, all that, makes me feel like that it is close to a complete rewrite of policy, and that it should come here, hence a new policy. So, I mean, I will, if it's going to the superintendent and to Michael first, and if they come back and say, not a lot of changes, we've discussed it, then it can go through the regular process. But all I'm saying is that the way that it's sounding right now at this table seems like that it's going to be closer to a new policy.
It's the Policy Review Committee that made a determination, especially in getting feedback from some of the administrators that were present. I forget the exact adjectives that they used to describe the policy.
Horrific.
Horrific, thank you.
Yes.
So it was the Policy Review Committee that thought a major rewrite was necessary, and now it's being taken out of the hands. I'm not suggesting that the Policy Review Committee couldn't ask the superintendent and the business manager to assist them in this process and then bring it back once the major revision has taken place. But I still think protocol would say that it should come back to the Policy Review Committee because it's not a new policy.
Okay. And I'm fine with that, except what I heard from, I'm thinking that you guys need to get together and make a recommendation back. So what I'm hearing here is that it's not the policy review that's actually going to do the rewrite. It's our administrators that are actually going to do the rewrite.
That's because we're very effective delegators.
If I may, the reason why there's some confusion here is that, yes, it needs a rewrite, but at the same time, we just can't scrap it. I mean, we have to. There were some changes that, like Michelle had to put in that needed to be made. That needed to be. There needs to be changes to use with what we have right now. You know what I mean? Like. We had a long discussion and actually made some changes, and in the notes it's to talk to Michael to form a committee and draft a policy to return to the committee for review.
Okay, here's what I'm sorry to interrupt. Here's what I'm just gonna ask, is that if there are major new policies within that policy, I don't know what this policy is gonna look like, so. We'll look at it regardless, so I defer to
It may save time if, you know, I don't disagree with Jeff. I think, you know, it's a policy review function, the policy exists, we're reviewing it. However, I would strongly suggest that if you're going to make major revisions to this, that it be done in sort of a team approach. And someone should be on that team that understands Wareham activity accounting.
That's why we have administrators.
They don't understand it. So, because they don't do it. Because they don't do it, Jeff. So,
Okay. All right, so moving on to policy regulations governing use of facilities.
Yes. This is the one I said. Just double checking because I don't have it. Okay.
It looks like you changed school committee to business
No, I'm
manager.
just trying to see if I have the, there we go. Yes. Thank you, sorry about that. Yeah, page 1. Yep, school committee to business manager. Uh, 12 was added. Fees may be revised at the request of the business manager in consultation with the responsible administrator with the approval of the school committee. And then there's the forms, and there are a bunch of changes that, you know, Michelle had requested, but also I think we removed, and you see them right there in the margins that were deleted or added. Email, for example, was added, and other things were deleted. But if you look on, for example, on the application for use of grounds at the bottom, it used to say reviewed by director of. It was just replaced with foreman of fields and grounds. And we had a long discussion about this too, about whether or not it would be prudent to separate this form from the policy and just refer to it, because you have to, every time you want to change this form, you have to review the policy.
All right, so there are many policies that we have, and the forms are part of the procedure.
That's what we decided.
But in front of us, the form is still part of the policy.
Yeah, it's all part of the policy.
Well, as Mike said, we didn't think it was appropriate, which is why we added 12, that we needed to review the policy if we made changes to a form, because there is a difference between policy and procedure.
Right, so then is the recommendation, even though it wasn't done at the policy review, to approve this policy without the form attached?
Yes.
And just refer, and just refer to it.
Okay.
So that was the recommendation.
Okay.
And, or the sentiment, I don't know if we actually took a vote on doing that, but it was clearly the sentiment in that room.
Okay.
And, yeah, that was about it.
Okay. So then the recommendation would be to approve the policy with the changes noted in our packet with the addition of deleting, that doesn't really, the addition of the deleting, but that to approve it without the application, and then the application would then become the procedure, not a part of the policy.
I like that.
Do I have a,
So moved.
you want a second for discussion?
Sure. Second.
For discussion? No? Okay. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 4-0-0. Is that all?
Oh, yes. Yes, sorry.
Thank you. Next on our,
I accept that the policy review committee will be meeting again on January 14th.
great, thank you. Happy holidays to all the members of the Policy Review Committee, and thank you for your time and volunteerism that you put into this committee. Next on the agenda is the appointment of 2 members to the Superintendent Advisory Committee.
I would ask the chair and the committee to appoint 2 members to the Superintendent's Advisory Committee. We do have a committee. Our first meeting will be January 9th. It will be at the middle school, and it will begin at 6:30. So if I could have 2 members from the committee join us, that would be wonderful.
Do I have recommendations?
I would ask for volunteers.
Do I have any volunteers?
I'll volunteer.
I would all, go ahead.
I said I was interested when she mentioned it. How many days do you plan on it meeting?
We'll probably meet every 6 weeks to every 8 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah,
What was the time again?
6:30
On January 9th.
at the middle school.
So I have 2 volunteers. Do I have a third?
I don't even know if I'm going to be on the committee, so.
All right. So I have 2 volunteers, Jeff Sweat and Mike Flaherty. There's no one else, then do we need to vote on this?
You just have to appoint.
I appoint,
You appoint. That's it.
by the powers invested in me,
You are the grand poobah.
I appoint Mike Flaherty and Jeff Sweat to the Superintendent's Advisory Committee. Thank you very much for volunteering. I appreciate it and can't wait to hear all of the amazing things coming out of that committee.
Do you have a room in mind?
Library.
Thank you.
Library. Have you communicated with the rest of the committee members?
I have.
Great.
I have, and I'm getting my responses excited.
Are you
So
able to share with us?
I haven't had all my confirmations yet, so when I do, I will make it public.
Great.
How many,
Thank you.
how many students are you attempting to recruit?
Well, students now come now, so we'll be looking for 4 students to join us.
And how many different classes will be represented?
We would like freshmen, sophomore, and juniors.
Okay. Is there any other business?
Yeah, I think
Nicole,
I
did you
do.
have any? Sorry. No? Okay. Yes.
As you know, Mr. Sweat got appointed as District 7 Chair, and as District 7 Chair, we have a direct link to Massachusetts Association of School Committees, and I know they had a board meeting, and so maybe from time to time, Jeff could keep us abreast as to what's going on in the ivory tower.
How's that going for you?
Doesn't have to, and you don't have to do it today, but it might be kind of nice just to give us an update from time to time.
I would be happy to do so. I think it would be particularly important if I do so after the retreat that is being planned for January 7th and 8th. Because
Is this in Vegas?
unless you consider Medford to be the Vegas of the East. No, Medford. But the reason I think it's important, and as a matter of fact, I'm having a breakfast Friday morning with a member of the executive committee, because I think the Mass needs to be more strategic as compared to reactive and tactical. And because I think most school committee members got on to have an impact on education, not to be fighting little battles. So I'm looking forward to see if the retreat can, in fact, give a significant focus to what we're trying to achieve on a long-term basis. Because I know I have specific ideas that I've asked to be put on the agenda. So thank you, and I will report back.
Well, thank you, and thank you for representing the committee.
Pictures and PowerPoint when you present.
I'll
Are
have to
there
take
any
I'll have to
other-
take Jamie with me.
Are there, is there any other business the committee would like to discuss tonight? If not, then I'd like to wish everyone a very, very happy holiday.
Likewise.
And hope that everyone has a safe and wonderful holiday.
Likewise, Rhonda, thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, and everyone in the audience too, and thank you guys. All right, with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Happy holidays.